Let's set the scene. China is in the middle of the Boxer Rebellion, a violent anti-foreign uprising that put international diplomats and civilians under siege. It was a powder keg, and the U.S. Marines, as usual, are right in the middle of it. You've heard of the big names, the guys who get the biopics and the statues, but sometimes the most fascinating heroes in the Medal of Honor archives are the ones wrapped in a total mystery. Today, we're talking about a Marine named John Mapes Adams. And here's the thing, everything about this guy is a riddle. He served under an alias. His citation is one of the most vague in history. And for a long time, he was a ghost in the records. He earned his Medal of Honor during the chaotic Boxer Rebellion in China. But ask anyone exactly what he did to earn it, you'll get a shrug. Today, we're going to crack the code on one of the most enigmatic Marines to ever wear the uniform. John Mapes Adams wasn't even his real name. He was born George Lawrence Day in Haverhill, Massachusetts in 1871. He went to a fancy boarding school, Phillips Exeter Academy. Not exactly the standard origin story for a tough-as-nails Marine. When he turned 23, he enlisted in the Marine Corps, but he did it under his birth name, George Day. A few years later, he decided to switch it up and reinvented himself as John Mapes Adams. Why? We don't know. Maybe he was running from a past. Maybe he wanted a fresh start. Or maybe he just liked the sound of it. Whatever the reason, by the time he hit the front lines in China in 1900, he was officially John Adams. Let's set the scene. China is in the middle of the Boxer Rebellion, a violent anti-foreign uprising that put international diplomats and civilians under siege. It was a powder keg, and the U.S. Marines, as usual, are right in the middle of it. On July 13th, 1900, the Battle of Tianjin happens. It was an absolute meat grinder. Allied forces were trying to break the siege, and the fighting was brutal, door to door and constant. Adams was a sergeant with Company F, 1st Marine Regiment, and he was right on the front lines. The citation for his Medal of Honor is frustratingly short. In the presence of the enemy during the battle near Tianjin, China, 13 July 1900, Adams distinguished himself by meritorious conduct. That's it. That's all we get. Now, why so vague? Well, 1900, the record keeping wasn't what it is today. They didn't have any file servers laying around record all this stuff on. Plus, during the Boxer Rebellion, over 30 Marines were awarded the Medal of Honor, and the citations were often written as broad, general commendations for units rather than blow-by-blow descriptions of individual heroism. But here's how we know he was an absolute legend. You don't get a Medal of Honor in battle that intense for just showing up. Historians believe that Adams was likely involved in the extremely dangerous work of holding the line against waves of Boxer forces, or perhaps leading a critical counterattack when the Allied lines were about to snap. The fact that he was cited alongside only 3 other Marines in this action means he was part of an elite, select group that kept their composure when the world was literally burning down around him. He was a seasoned Marine. He had seen action in the Philippines and Panama, and he was the guy the younger Marines looked to when the shooting started. Adams didn't talk much about it after the war. He lived another 20 years, died in 1921 at age 49, and was buried in Brooklyn, New York. Even his headstone reads John Mapes Adams, a name he chose for himself, a name that will forever be linked to the highest honor in the United States military. He reminds us that heroism isn't always about grand speeches or the news cameras. Sometimes it's just about being the person who does the meritorious conduct when nobody else is watching and when the records are lost to time. Hey, if you like stories about the unsung, the mysterious, and the straight up tough, hit that subscription button. We'll get more deep dives coming and the legends you haven't heard of yet. We'll see you in the next one. And that's the story of John Mapes Adams. It's incredible to think that when we started this series, we asked what it truly takes to be called a hero. Today we saw that answer in action: grit, sacrifice, and the refusal to quit. If you missed where we started, go back and check out our premiere episode on the history of the Medal of Honor. It lays the foundation for everything we're uncovering here. My name is Kenny, and this is Gallantry in Action, and we'll see you in the next deep dive. Stay legendary.